I'm 24 and I've already worked at places like Meta, Yahoo, Atlantic Records, and Paramount. Here are 5 things I wish I knew before going into it that I eventually learned but would have been helpful learning, especially growing up as a first-generation American. For some context, I'm Senegalese. My parents immigrated here in the 80s or 90s, and I was born here and also lived abroad a little bit. And then I went to a CUNY, I went to Brute College, and I'm currently pursuing my master's at the Craig Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY. The first thing that I learned was the importance of a coffee chat. I think a lot of times people don't understand how important it is to just connect with people on a personal level. I think that a lot of people don't know that people love to hear themselves speak, and being able to have coffee chats, whether it's cold emailing people on LinkedIn or using resources like people in your college, are super important. Being able to set up like a 30-minute meeting with someone who's worked at a place that you want to before, and just hearing them talk about their journey and also expressing your interest and your willingness to learn will put you light years ahead of people who are just cold applying. Even once you get in those rooms, so when I was working at Atlantic Records, for example, as an intern at the time, I made it like a whole thing and made sure that every week I was at least having coffee chats with 3 people, and I was spanning it across departments so that I was able to really understand how the company functioned and what their priorities were and how I could be an asset to the company. This doesn't mean starting at like the freaking CEO. I wasn't asking Julie Greenwald for a coffee chat, but I was making sure that I was talking to managers, to coordinators, to associate managers, to people that make the decisions and are the driving force behind some of my favorite artists' biggest campaigns. The second thing I learned was the importance of speaking up. This is so important. Growing up, I'm African, so I was taught that my actions are going to lead, what people think about me. And yes, that is partly true, but at the same time, in corporate America, you have to learn how to tell your own story in a braggy way, but in a way where people know what your value is, and you have to really over accentuate that, but without coming across as, self-conceited. It's a very delicate balance. Again, it's something I can go to in another video. Third thing I learned was to track everything. HR is not your friend. Now, for the most part, I've been pretty chill because, I think I'm a pretty decent person to work with, but you think HR works for the company, and you have to make sure that no matter what you do, you are writing it down and there is a paper trail behind you. I remember there was an incident I got into, and it wasn't a bad incident, nothing of that matter, but it involved someone who was not my manager telling me to do something. And in order for me to have a paper trail of that, I emailed them and I was like, hey, just confirming exactly what we talked about, and then all my best. And that was enough for my manager to step up and be like, you're not doing that. And she kind of handled it in her own way. Things were still good, but it was really important for me to establish that paper trail, because sometimes, especially when you're the youngest, people will be trying you. Fourth thing I learned, is this fourth? I think it's fourth, was the importance of a follow-up. I've been able to intern at so many cool places, and I still have contacts with those people because I follow up. If it's their birthday, I send them a birthday, and I honestly do this because I genuinely liked the people that I worked with, so I genuinely just want to keep up with them and know how they're doing and hope that everything's good, and I hope they're having a good holiday, a happy new year, a Merry Christmas, and Eid Mubarak, whatever they celebrate. I genuinely am interested. I think this can vary based off of experiences you've had in the workplace, but for me personally, most people I've had a really good relationship with, and some of them I even follow on Instagram, so we're able to kind of keep that personal camaraderie. And also doing this is great as well on a professional side, because in most cases, especially nowadays with everyone's attention span being absolutely zero, it's really great to just, stay in contact every few months so that when an opportunity does come up, it doesn't seem like you're only reaching out for an opportunity. You know what I mean? It just feels kind of to me when you do that. So that's another thing I learned. And the final thing I learned was the importance of learning how to set boundaries. I think a lot of times, especially, obviously this depends on the industry, but I think especially in the entertainment industry and also in the journalism industry, it can become chaotic so fast, and you're expected to be available at all times of the night and all times of the hours. Obviously, if you're working on a project and it's something that needs, more of your time, that's different, but I think establishing boundaries early on really helps, because then people know what you will and will not deal with. So for me, that was once it hit a certain time and it was time to go home, my phone's off, notifications are off, I'm unreachable actually. And this really helped with respect from people, because they knew that if I'm out of the office, I am unavailable to be reached. Those are the main 5 things that I've learned from working at amazing companies. And let me know if you want more stuff like this. I don't know why I haven't done this before, but I feel like I would have loved to have this, especially coming out of college. And low-key not knowing what the hell I was doing, but just going based off of just vibes and knowing and liking people. So